T-A-R-T-E-R. Let's begin with the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everybody to the October 28th Marion County Commission meeting. We begin with public comments. Anyone in the room wishing to make public comments? Not seeing anything in the room. Is there anyone online who wishes to make public comments?
Yes, I would.
It looks
There's
like
a hand.
Brewer has his hand raised.
Okay, Quentin, can you go? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great, and we can hear you.
That's great. So, hi, my name's Quentin Brewer, and my daughter will be passing out my public comments and also a graphic that I'll reference in my comments.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So, my wife and I and our younger two children live in rural Hillsborough, and I'm speaking today to share my concerns for my family's safety. A couple weeks ago during public comment and also the wind energy comments, there was a comment about safety and trespass zones around wind turbines. And safety zone is the area that the wind turbine manufacturer has published for the maintenance personnel to stay out of until the wind turbine is stopped because of the possibility of injury. In the example passed around, this is 1,640 feet for a Vestas wind turbine, which is likely smaller than the ones used in the Sunflower wind farm. When this safety zone extends onto neighboring property, this creates a trespass zone on the neighbor's property. The trespass zone is the area the safety zone extends into the neighboring property that has not signed a lease with the wind farm. So I want to share with you how this impacts my family. To the south of our property, a wind turbine to the south of our property is a field where a turbine could possibly go. With our current regulations, my family could knowingly be put in danger. If a wind turbine is put up to the south of us, there's a high potential our property and our house, our home, would be in a danger zone. My family would be in a danger zone. Our current setbacks are 1,000 feet to a property line and 1,500 feet to a residence. But the safety zone is 1,640 feet for a Vestas wind turbine, which is probably for a smaller wind turbine than would be used here. So the safety zone would be larger. My 120-year-old house is approximately 200 feet from our property line. My home would be in a constant danger zone. How many other homes would be in a constant danger zone as well? Setbacks need to be to the property lines and need to be greater than the safety zone required by the wind turbine manufacturer. The wind farm and leaseholder are trespassing and infringing on the property rights of the landowners around them and putting their neighbors in danger. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Quentin. Appreciate the comments. Anyone else online wishing to make comments? Not seeing any. We'll close public forum and move into agenda approval.
Any additions or changes to the agenda? The counselor said he will have a lengthy potential litigation executive session at the end of the meeting. Anything else? Not, the agenda is approved. Before we move into administrative, I want to thank all of our volunteer firefighters who were on the scene through that terrible rain last week. And I know they're gearing up for another high danger time in the next coming days. So let's be thinking of our firefighters and our emergency response folks.
Dave, did you see that the state fire marshal participated in the fire?
Yes,
He was there, and he was very complimentary of our fire crews.
I'm glad you brought that up. It's nice to,
They were doing right if the boss was there checking on them.
right, and he got to see everybody in action. That's very good. Thank you for that.
I've seen some of the fires and they were on them.
Yeah.
I can't believe how quick they got to them. The fire spread was not, it didn't do it justice to look at the aftermath. I'm sure what they were up against, but that means they just did their job exactly.
And the wind at that time was just unbelievable. Again, we thank them for their hard work and protecting our people and our properties. So with that, we'll move into administrative. Ashley, what do you have for us?
Last week you guys approved the CUP for the second residence, and I just need you to sign the resolution.
Okay.
All of us.
Yes. Resolution, and check the box. All right, what do you have next?
All right, the minutes of October 21st.
Commission has had a chance to review the minutes. I did ask Ashley to make one change. In my comments on 3030, it was printed as unattended consequences. My intention was unintended, not unattended. So there will be a change from unattended to unintended. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was like, unattended.
Yeah, it would be attended. So any other changes to the minutes? If not, is there a motion to approve with that correction?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Goering, is there a second?
Second,
Commissioner Crowfoot, all those in favor say aye.
aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried 5-0. Different than anointed.
Okay, other than that, just a quick update on early voting. When I checked before the meeting, we're at 991 early voters.
Jeez.
Yesterday, we were open from 1 to 3, and within the first hour, we had 100 voters. So it was a total of 116 yesterday.
So you were open Sunday.
From 1 to 3.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Tina?
Okay. In your packet, you had the administrative report.
Darian, Kyle.
Did you have any questions?
What a busy week.
Yep. We do have a disaster proclamation resolution, and that was for the fires. We did have a verbal declaration, and we didn't utilize any state resources, but once this is ratified, it's in place for a week, and we have very high extreme fire danger right now. So this would cover if we would need additional resources until the expiration date of this resolution. So this is just a resolution to ratify that verbal declaration.
That would be 2024-24. Okay. Any questions on the disaster resolution? It's not a motion to approve. Motion by Commissioner Gooding, second by Commissioner Becker to approve resolution 2024. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried. All right, next.
In your packet, you have a purchase request for a new computer for the health department. And there were 2 quotes given. Lloyd said that the less expensive Lenovo would be just fine at $867.56, which is actually below the requirement to come to the board. But there are also 3 monitors that they're gonna be ordering. So that total recommended purchase would be $1,397.30.
Any questions? Not, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve the bid. Computers and screens.
Motion by Commissioner Crowfoot to approve the purchase in the amount of $1,397.30.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dalkey. Discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried 3-0.
So just, this was to replace an all-in-one computer that would have been like one solid unit that included the screen. So it'd be 2 screens for this one and then a second monitor for one of the other computers in the office. And in your packet, I did put the 3030 letter that you all approved. In the resolution that you initially had drafted, it said that you would be sending it to the Department of Agriculture, Department of the Interior, and then the Kansas Attorney General. And so those are the letters here for you to sign. I didn't know if you have any others that you wanted, any other locations you want me to send to, but the signature page for each of those is on the, of course, the second page. Not right. Sorry. The disaster proclamation, we had 2 versions of that resolution. One had the wrong name on it, and so I just need you to fix that. Use that right one. Sorry about that.
This is not top copy.
A top copy off of one of these.
Yeah.
Alright, drop one.
Yes.
Tina would have caught it. There we go, all copies.
On the table, you have the information about the health fair coming up on Saturday. It's from 8 to 11. And so Krista is looking for some commissioner volunteers to greet folks at the health fair. Is anyone available that you know of to be able to come?
I won't make it this year. This will be the first year I haven't made it for quite a while.
I'll be there.
Okay. Okay.
2 days.
The 2 days. Okay, thank you. I'll let her know. She did say earlier today that she will have somebody else there too. They're gonna be actually using a clicker to count how many people come in instead of just trying to guess based on what they hand out, so. And then I have, last time you had approved for the commission to submit a letter of support for the BEAD grant application for TCW. I've also been contacted by Idea Tech for the same. The last time you did a letter of support for both, are you,
I'll support anybody and everybody that wants to put fiber in this place.
Right, let's make that a motion if you would.
Alright,
We did that on the other one, so.
I'll make a motion that we write a letter of support for the BEAD grant for Idea Tech.
We have a motion. Commissioner Gehring, is there a second? Second, Commissioner Crowfoot. Sorry, Commissioner Becker. I look at.
He's the only one that didn't raise his hand.
Yeah. Hulky was on it. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
okay.
Write the same letter and just put two different names on it.
Yeah, and then I'll get a little bit more information and hopefully I can have those ready for you to look at on Wednesday. Thursday. I keep saying Wednesday, I wanna get paid a day earlier. Thursday,
Thursday.
yes.
Very good.
And what's the, well, never mind. I was gonna ask what your theme is gonna be for dressing up that day. Well,
Mr.
let's
Dalkey
just-
always has a
Maybe
surprise.
we should skip that, but you know, you usually are kind of entertaining if you get a chance to dress up,
I
so.
just figure it's the day I get to be myself, so I don't wanna dress up.
The last thing I have is a certified voting delegate for the K-Camp meeting at KAC. They asked for, let me see, a delegate and an alternate. And the meeting is at 5:30. It's basically the same time as
Anything else?
the dinner and, you know, so.
There's usually a request for a KAC delegate also.
And then also a K-Work delegate.
Yeah.
So,
So I think everybody's going? No? Okay.
I've done it twice already.
Yeah, I did it the last year.
Okay, I can do it this time if someone wants to be the alternate.
I don't know if it,
I guess I could be the alternate.
I mean, is it, man, do we have to?
Well, we need to turn in,
But you don't have to go.
well, if you can't, the alternate will go. If
But
it's
you
a,
don't have less than 50% participation.
well, let's cover it just in case something shows up. And
it
this,
can be another person going to KAC too on behalf of the county. It doesn't have to be a commissioner necessarily.
and this one was for K-Work,
This is for K-Camp,
K-Camp.
which is our
Insurance.
property and liability insurance.
Okay, would there be a motion to appoint the chairman and as the delegate and Commissioner Becker as the alternate?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gehring, is there a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Dalkey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay, motion carried 5-0.
Thank you.
And on the other one, we usually flip-flopped.
Yeah,
So whoever was
Yeah.
the alternate is
they,
the
they're
delegate.
back-to-back meetings.
When we need to register, you gotta pick up the
The voting
Credentials?
credentials.
first day. Or you have to go back and do it.
I'll probably be bringing the other ones later, because I don't have those yet, so. All right, I
Yeah.
believe that's all I have for the moment.
All right, Steve, we're ready? Hello. Hi, Steve. Everybody holding on to their hats for this afternoon?
Yeah. It's been pretty windy, although the weather, the temperature's pretty good weather, temperature wise, so, yeah. I guess today we're going over, the payment for the asphalt projects.
Is Darren not gonna make it, or?
I haven't heard from him.
Okay. So in your packet, you did have the change order, which was a decrease to go to the actual quantities for the asphalt project. So, and then you have the request for payment, which is a single and final, request for payment.
The two different actions,
Right, and then,
change order.
did you wanna talk to them about the surface and kind of what we're doing with, about that?
Yes, we've had some, especially, it's happened once on timber, but they were able to correct it at the time of application of asphalt. But we've noticed on 140th between Sunflower and Highway 77, some separation or sliding going on as far as the 2-inch overlay goes. They've have come back and repaired a majority of it, but I've noticed some more of it's developing again. I've spoken with Darren with EBH, and he said that let's just hold off and see if any more develops, and then we'll contact them and have them come back and correct it. And from my understanding is we have a 1-year warranty or some type of agreement. I don't know if it's been written or anything like that as far as that goes. So that's what's going on with that. So far, everything else is holding up well. We are putting the shoulder work done on all those asphalt roads. We'll be finishing up tomorrow, 2-inch overlays. I did speak with EBH again too, with Darren, as well as far as coming up with a plan or of action as far as what to do with the East Tampa Road, as well as the Canada Road, as well as the Alney Road. So we're in the process of looking at that as well. So I think that's all I had, wasn't it?
Except the road crossing permit.
Oh, yes.
So if we can,
Knocked out first.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to approve the change order number 1.
It's only a 4-inch and it's going, or 4 feet deep. It's on a dirt road. I didn't think it would be.
We have a motion to approve change order number 1. Is there a second? I'll second it. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Final payment.
$871,620.
Motion to pay estimate number 1. Pearson. Amount of $871,620.
Second. We have a motion by Commissioner Goering, second by Commissioner Dahlke, with close by Commissioner Becker. Any discussion or questions? That project has turned out really nice.
We did get a pretty good discount on it.
With a good product. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
All right, I've got 2 little X's there for you to sign by.
So a big X for a big number.
I know you guys need to discuss it as far as being, let's be consistent or something come up.
I think you can trump us probably if you want.
Well, it depends.
I like to have something black and white too, some kind of agreement, whether we do it this way always or, you know. So I'm open for discussion on that.
And then last item was the road crossing permit.
Correct. One came across my desk, I looked at it. It was for a 4-inch trenching across a dirt road. You guys discussed it last Monday, but then you tabled it for this Monday. I think that there was discussion whether we need to be consistent with any kind of crossing that we have, we trench from now on, or do we make exceptions?
So our current policy or our current, what we've been doing with the road crossing permit is that in most cases, we are requiring them to bore. But the road and bridge superintendent can approve trenching if it's a dirt road in a low traveled area. So there is flexibility there. So it's a matter of whether you want to allow that anymore or if you want to change.
2-path or a minimum maintenance road, or that's part of some of it without looking too deep. What that road was.
It's just our normal dirt road. It is used for feeding cattle as well as harvesting fields and so forth like that. It doesn't have a great deal of traffic on it.
It's going 4 inches
4 inches wide.
wide.
And when
I'm not going 4 feet deep.
when we had a request recently for something similar, I had basically said our policy was, it's gonna be rare for us to allow trenching through a road. That typically it would need to be a bore unless it's just a really low travel area.
The history on that is that it was having so many people do it, and the grader operators was having to come back and play with it forever because it was not fixed back properly and packed. And it was costing them a lot of time, and so that's why the policy did go out, is what she said, that the supervisor could trump us and give them the right of way. That's fine, but we set the policy up here. We would make them bore.
I know in certain applications that we do, when we get into a certain driveway situation, you know, we have to put back with flowable fill. And so that, you don't have to worry about any compaction after that, and then you don't have a whole lot of void for the dirt to fall back into. I don't know. Like I said, it's really down to the road. I mean, it's a dirt road. It's not hard to come up with material and get that to go back, but gravel road, I would say absolutely not.
It's only
4 inch.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
I trench a lot of lines.
If you don't do it right, either with flowable fill or something like that, there's always a divot there, no matter a divot, so it's up to Steve then, I guess, on this way, what you said.
This is a saltwater line,
Yes.
and so they've got wells right there, I'm guessing.
It's a disposal then, or is it gun barrel?
But I mean, if they're settling, they could be contacted and say, fix it, couldn't they?
Yeah. But the other one we just denied, or we didn't deny it, we just never let it get that far. They weren't going anywhere either. It was real water.
Right.
Let them
And that was
trench.
along a gravel road as well, crossing a dirt or gravel road as well. I mean, you guys, if you wanna go straight across the board as far as boring any crossroad, no. I know that might upset a few people because they're gonna be spending quite a bit of money just for bringing in a machine to do that. I know that those boring machines aren't all that cheap to rent.
You're talking about $3,000 minimum
Right,
just to show up on site.
so,
Would your recommendation be to allow the trenching on this road?
yes.
I mean, I'm fine with a low use dirt road, but definitely not on a gravel or even a higher travel dirt road. But I guess I would make the motion to approve the road crossing permit as presented and allow the trenching with the superintendent's advice. Recommendation, let's use the word recommendation instead of advice.
Probably also should add approval by the supervisor once they're done, that
Absolutely.
you have the opportunity to go look at it and say it's sufficient for the moment, but we reserve the right if it sinks, you can come back. Some protection.
You can blame us.
Well,
That your feet are being held to the fire that.
Call the motion in the second to come out and fill.
I know this winter time when things will slow down a little bit for us, sure like to get together with all you guys and have a work session as far as develop policies.
Yes.
A lot of issues out there, there's a lot of gray areas, a lot of things weigh on my shoulders that I don't know
Yes.
which decision to make. Sometimes it might be good, sometimes it might be bad. Let's try to weigh out those bad
We
ones.
definitely need to do that.
If I had something in black and white to stand on, I could say, nope, here it is, sorry guys, so
We'll
anyway.
get that done. For right now, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Second,
Commissioner Dalkey,
thank you.
you're absolutely right. We need to get this.
Yeah, and
Yes. Yes.
unless you guys got anything else for me?
Just didn't wanna start Pandora's box
Yes.
somewhere, and while you did it for these guys, you just must like them better.
Yeah, that's nothing to do with that.
It's on the administrator's report, starting to cover rock on some of the rebuilds. Appreciate not doing the cap rock when it was so dry and all that harvest traffic. I would.
Well, what we're trying to do that on there, Dave, is we're trying to plan it, schedule around rains.
So I'm glad you know when it's going to rain. And
Well, if it's 60% chance or better, we're gonna be putting rock down on the roads.
yes, because you got a lot to cover before.
Right, I mean, we can do it with the old water truck and so forth, but boy, it sure does take a beating on that truck.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, and we're really in no big hurry. It's got a good sub base on it anyway. And this is primarily just the Strasburg Road.
And the rebuilds are looking good.
Too good sometimes.
Is there a rented edger that you're using for,
Yes, it is.
did it down here on Sunflower?
Mhm.
Did a nice job.
Thank you.
Sunflower. Got it. So it looked like one was a little narrower, but the other, can you set it for width?
Yeah. You'd be surprised how much material you go through.
Oh, yeah, don't doubt it.
I'm having trucks hard time keeping up with laying it down, so, but anyway, it's going good. Yeah, we'll be finishing up Coal Creek and then after that we're going to the Roxbury Road. And we're debating very seriously whether to do the whole Roxbury Road, the whole thing. And that's quite a few miles, but we'll be getting the crushed concrete from the verdict pile. Using that for the shoulder stuff, so.
Very good. That's,
Steve, could you talk to the board about the 170th out by the county lake?
Yes, unfortunately, we got down to our last little bit of blade patch cold mix that we've had stored at the South Shop for almost for the beginning of the summer. And we applied it and it was just too cold out there and it just didn't shape up very well. But I'd like to go in there with our small milling machine and just kind of skim off the top. You've seen it quite a bit of places, like even on 290th, the new project, the new overlay they did out there. They came in with like a little planer and just kind of planed out the rust spots. And so that's what we're planning on doing there. And we're also planning on coming in there next year to finish blade patching as well as coming in there and chip sealing that road. County Lake roads, so that'd be Upland, 170th, as well as the County Lake and Lois Lane. So those are our plans for next year. Reason why we did it this year was there were some spots that were alligating out the asphalt, and we're trying to avoid having to do any kind of base work repairs. If I don't think it'd take another winter as wetness and stuff, be in there in the world hurt. So we capped it off with this blade patch material and just got ahead of the game for next year, so.
So when are you gonna do the milling? This year or next year?
I'm planning on doing it here shortly.
Okay.
Yeah, probably
People
after,
ask me about,
yeah.
I can't ride your
That's not a
bicycles.
weather
It's not, no, it's
weather
nothing.
critical item.
Actually, if it's a little colder, it'd be even better, really, but so, yeah. But, again, I mean, we'll do our best to try to smooth it out, but we can always come in next year and cap it off and really dress it up real nice, so, anyway.
Thank you for,
It's funny, I mean, everybody, just, we had one little troublesome area, but everything else around that general area sure did look pretty good and held up well, so it's unfortunately that we had to concentrate on the bad, but anyway.
I guess one last thing, if you could work with John and Tina, maybe to get a summary for the year, you know, how many miles of chip seal you did, how many miles of blade patch, how many miles of road, I mean, you had a good year this year, you got a lot done.
Yeah, well, we did 20 miles of road rebuilds, gravel rebuilds, and we did 41 miles of blade patching and 39 miles of chip sealing that last year, so. That's 41 miles of blacktop work in the summer is pretty good. So,
Are you short on blade operators?
yes, we are short the North Marion area as well as the Lehigh area. We're short 2 section men there, and we're also short 3 operators, 1s and 2s.
Just equipment
So we're short 5 people, yeah.
Retirements or?
We had one, better opportunity, more money. One, I pretty much had to let go. One of the truck drivers, was ill. And then 2 of the section men, they just pretty well retired, so.
Basic, didn't need too much detail. If I wanted more detail, we have to go executive.
All right, well, thank you again and your crew,
Okay.
appreciate it. In the hallway?
Yes, sir.
Oh, it was ready to go. Hi, Isaac.
Morning, afternoon. All right, so I'm here for the dog conversation. I'll start with, I guess, kind of where we left off from our last meeting here. We had the conversation about, I guess, the possibility of privatizing or options with that. So I guess I'll just start with what I did from there. So after that, we got out of that meeting. I kind of took it upon myself to gather information. So I went around and I called all the dock owners. I made up this little survey, kind of asking a bunch of different questions as far as preferences or things they've dealt with. We talked about having a boat on the dock, if they would like to see that go to in use or what they, I got about half of those surveys back. Out of 82 docks, I think I got 42 surveys back. So then I went through the results from all those surveys and kind of wrote down a tally and wrote down a lot of the main comments and stuff that I got back from dock owners. And then I put together a little, you can take this. So it's a sheet.
One for each of us?
Yeah. And so what it is, on the front page, I kind of went through and I took it upon myself to pretty much write down about every possible solution that we could look at as a county as far as what our options would be for the docks and then kind of positives and negatives with each. On the next page, I think, is the survey results, kind of what it showed, what people dealt with, issues that we have. And then on the last page, it's kind of recommendations, just really thoughts as far as issues that we have, things that help, things that don't help. I don't know. The longer I thought about it, the more that we talked about it. We talked about, well, you could privatize all of them, you could keep it as it is, you could privatize some if the dock owners wanted to have an option. the majority, surprisingly to me, from those survey feedbacks, the majority said just leave it as it is. You know, the big one that I'd say that a lot of people had comments about were having boats tied up to the dock and whether or not that should be considered in use. I understand that completely. My concern being, and I talked to Brad and Tina about this, is that if you said, okay, you have a boat tied up, your dock is in use. What's to say 5 years from now, every dock out there has a $200 boat that they go and buy to tie up to their dock just to say, now this dock is in use. That would be my big concern with going that route. I don't know, you know, we talked about, well, could you limit the amount of time a dock is tied or a boat is tied up to a dock? I don't necessarily think dock owners would wanna have to pull their boat off the lake every weekend either. Let alone the enforcement of trying to keep track of who's had their boat tied up to their dock for how long. So I don't know about that. I don't. I personally don't have a problem with people tying them up year round, but I guess my concern would be is if you did say that was in use, that yeah, 5 years down the road, everybody would have a boat tied up to their dock, and at that point, you might as well just privatize. But those were the two big things, was the privatization and then the boats tied up to the dock. And you can see in there, I talked to Tina and Brad about this. According to our rules and regulations, curfew is 11 p.m., which is normally about the time we do our last rounds for the night. The way that we've kind of ran it is unless you have a camping permit or unless you're actively fishing, it's time to go. I don't know if it's something that the commission would be interested in. To one, you could say, unless you have a camping permit, period, you're done, the park's closed. No fishing after 11, no being at the park after 11, unless you have a camping permit. The other thought would be as well, just do that for the docks, is the privately owned docks that are open to the public are shut down at 11 p.m. You cannot be on those docks any longer. It might help with some of the, I guess, nightly activities that could happen on those docks, because I mean, what it comes down to is between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. as far as what goes on out there, you don't know. I mean, would it help, or would people just, you know, at midnight or 12:30 or 1 o'clock just go right back over to the dock that they like to fish, and who's gonna enforce that? I don't know, but the other thing that we talked about was, well, with the docks that are out there, could you limit to what they're open to the public for? So if you wanna use one of those docks, you can, but for fishing and boating purposes only. No going down there and just hanging out on them. Or would that help maybe knock down some of the issues that we have? I don't know.
Well, it comes down to enforcement though.
Well, and then that's kind of, yeah, the comments that's there. Yeah, I mean, especially over the night. I mean, at some point, you just gotta hope people are gonna do what they should do. I don't know how to really stop. I mean, if it was a situation where you could gate off every single access road to the lake and say you're out of here, then you could do that, but we really don't have that option out there. I mean, there's no way, I don't think, to physically do that.
And we also talked about, you know, possibly adding a few more county-owned docks so that people that wanted to go hang out or lay in the sun or whatever they do on the docks, they could utilize the county docks that, you know, for those purposes, if we limit the other docks to fishing and boating.
Those are marked. I think Isaac would ask him to mark several of those which you see on there in red.
Red,
What's potential
blue
locations?
are existing.
All the yellow numbers that are highlighted are where there are currently privately owned docks. The blue marks, sorry, it is kind of marked up. The blue ones that are circled, those are where we currently have county-owned docks. The ones that are red circles were possibilities, and there could be more. We talked about marking like 4 spots at the time to where the county could come in and possibly put I guess if you want to say a publicly owned dock for people to go down and do whatever they want to do, sunbathe or things other than fishing or boating. But You know, once again, will that stuff help? Will those changes help? I think it's a step in the right direction. I mean,
Anybody in favor of shutting the park down at 11 o'clock?
I mean,
All it's gonna be is a statement. There's nobody out there to enforce it, it's just a statement.
Well, if you're gonna use signs, which you should, we should have signs, should have something up, then you've at least got something, whether you enforce it or not, you've got something there that says 11 o'clock or
So in
12
that-
o'clock or whatever.
that's kind of what I was thinking, is if we did this, and if you did come in and you said, okay, those docks are closed at 11 and you can only use them for fishing and boating purposes. I do think as a county, we would need to go in, make up signs that have those all, cause I mean, this has been this rule for how many years? You know, everybody that has come out to the lake over the past 30 years, if you're gonna make a rule change like this, it's gonna be very hard to get everybody up to speed on what the new dock regulations are. So I do think signage would be a net necessity for
we
it.
don't have anything posted now. Nobody, how do you know what the regulations are?
Well, and that's it. I mean, the majority of the.
I know what Dale told me.
Right.
But you have never told me.
Well, there are people that come in and ask, few, but there are. But
As an example, you know.
right, yeah. Well, and we get a lot of people that come in, you know, throughout the summer that say, hey, we've heard this, is, you know, can we actually go out on these docks? We get that a lot. But, I mean, if you were to make a change, I do think having some kind of signage on each and every one of those docks would probably be something we wanna do. I mean, cause besides that, it's kind of word of mouth and.
It gives you some teeth to enforce
Yeah.
it too.
We also have people putting unauthorized signage up or putting it up that are a bit of a problem too. Saying some things in terms of closure of a dock that really isn't correct. And you tell them to take it down and they do, and then they put it back up again, so. Hard to enforce. You also have an inconsistency because there are some areas that are naturally popular. And that's where the biggest problems are, and others where, shoot, most people, I don't have any issues,
Can't
but
get
it's
to
because
it.
of where it is, yeah, exactly.
Any other thoughts on the process?
Lots of
Pros,
them,
cons.
but you know, they,
Where do you wanna start?
I'm taking the easy one, the trash cans. Trash cans around, but the question on it was who's responsible.
Who's gonna clean them?
And are people gonna use them, you know, I mean.
But I think most people,
Yeah.
if you provide the convenience factor, it will be utilized.
But who's gonna empty them?
I mean, docks,
That's the question.
let's see, 100 trash cans, who's gonna, they're gonna take a half a day to go around and pick trash up.
And some of them are gonna be full on one
Some of them you
weekend.
Yeah,
can't
on
get to.
weekends, yeah,
Some of them you can't get to.
can't get to them.
or overflow, and you'll start getting other stuff dumped in them.
First night.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I just see at 11 o'clock, like Randy suggested, just shut it down and see if it may take a couple of years to get that habit. That way somebody at midnight gets, hey, let's go out to the lake and fish.
Right.
They say, well, I know we can't, it's closed.
Maybe I misstated it, maybe you shut the docks down at 11 o'clock.
Well, it's with boating and,
Yeah, I mean,
Or
except for
fishing, but-
boat, fishing,
you know, gotta have a camping permit. Cause I'm sure there's a lot of that, they'll be at somebody's house at 12:30 and says, hey, let's go out to the lake.
I'm sure the lake hall probably gets used past 11 o'clock sometime.
yeah, that's why I said, maybe
I think-
I misstated it.
Are you basically saying that the idea that Isaac presented that after, if you're gonna be there after 11,
Don't have
and
a
it's not
camping-
for an event and you're at the lake hall, but if you're gonna be there after 11, that you have to have a camping permit?
Yep. Did you have, you're tied pretty closely to the, your thoughts?
I know where I stand on it. I mean, I think that closing the lake at 11 by the use of signage is certainly a deterrence. You're always gonna have an exception, but it could be helpful, but I'm still in favor of privatizing those that wanna be privatized with a fee.
And that I think came up in terms of the survey, it depends on the fee.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Some people are not.
I saw there was a wide variation.
Zero.
Yeah, I don't know what that fee should be. I mean, it can't be absorbent, but
Well, and then part of it gets tied then to enforcement, because if you've got a private dock owner who owns theirs, and they got somebody out there and they don't wanna go out and deal with that, they're gonna pick up the phone and call 911. Okay, we got a large county, lot of geographical area, limited number of deputies, and even with the funds for some element of some patrols out there, I'm not gonna cover, I don't anticipate that covering what you need for enforcement. So then hopefully those fees would be, part of it would go toward being able to have somebody who's not dedicated, but at least largely available.
they could go toward enforcement.
My,
And I also think we need to go ahead and start, some type of a plan with the public docks. Go ahead and get one going.
Mhm, I agree.
Maybe one a year or something for the next 2 or 3 years.
The other thing in terms of, since we met, a few phone calls to places that have, it's limited, but those that have the docks that are open for public use but held as part of the property ownership of that property. The one thing that they are in agreement with in terms of Isaac is don't make it a boat related, kind of if you tie it up that it's occupied, because that's exactly what is happening. That's why we have to do our parking on the streets and stuff at times, even though that's not completely enforced, that people will do that. And it's just easier to keep everybody off of it, so they'll go get a boat, what it is, and tie it up and call it a boat, and just say it's always occupied.
How long has this been the way it was? Has there ever been any rules or any other?
Not that not since I've been born, I think it's ever since I've gone out there as a kid, it's been the same way. I don't know when the first private public dock got put on, as far as that goes, I don't know.
When I was in high school,
there's no private zone.
Yeah, well, privately owned public dock, yeah.
it's been 50 years ago.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure when it got started.
So, yeah. I remember saying that.
60 years ago.
Tina, did you have some observations to the discussion? Give you an opportunity to chime in.
Well, I think there are ways that we can make progress on it without making drastic changes. So I like the idea of adding the public county-owned docks, and then potentially limiting what activities people can do from the other docks. Coming up with some sort of designation for those and hours. I think a lot, and signage, of course. We need signage regardless of whether we do nothing or whether we do something. We need signage out there regardless. And
The lake's closed after 11 o'clock by permits only.
but I think that if you do go ahead and try to privatize, trying to determine it can't be a tiny fee. It's gonna have to, it has to be a fee that is going to cover the cost and be enough that where we don't have no docks out there that people can be on. So privatization is more, it would be really nice to see if we can make progress without opening that can of worms necessarily, because there are some other legal type matters that come up with that too, because of the walkways and there's a lot of things that
Easements, yeah.
could be unintended consequences of that.
I'm just speaking from the law enforcement side because that's what I did for 23 years. And when you go show up to a situation, whoever's called the landowner or whatever, the Isaac or whatever, you say, well, you just can't go on what she said, he said. I mean, there's a sign there, you're past the time, or just a signage seems to be a good place to start to see where we go from that, maybe.
Using an enforceable position, at least in some minimum standard.
I'm not saying it's never gonna be the right option, I just think that it needs to be really carefully considered and applied equitably with everybody having the same opportunity if it is.
How do you privatize a dock? I mean, you can access it from land, from the water.
That's part of the
You can
discussion.
Swim, you
And it's
can
all
put,
public.
put fences up on the dock on all four sides.
That's part of the discussion. If you go ahead and allow people to annually, and that makes there some flexibility in it, but annually choose to pay a fee to privatize, they opt for, and then they've got to pay an annual fee, and they're willing to do that, then what rights do they gain? Besides simply saying it's private, do they have the ability to enforce it with some self-help? Gonna fence that thing off?
I mean, put a gate up,
Yeah,
you can above the gate.
yeah, and besides signage, do some other things there. And there would be those that'll do it, I think. They'd come in and fence it off.
You tell them no, they'll do it.
Yeah.
It's all the enforcement thing side of it.
Yeah, it is.
It's, you're making a rule that you up front saying you can't enforce very well.
Try to educate the public, be a better person.
Anyway, those were my observations. I'm good with whatever decision is made, but it's,
Appreciate that, yes, Commissioner Cobb.
I see at least one dock owner here. Is there anything we're missing that's,
Well,
that you're,
do you mind if I say anything?
no, I'm asking you something.
We own dock number 21, which is probably the most used dock out there.
It's the nicest dock.
No, that's not necessarily true.
Location-wise.
Right now, it's decent, but we put a trail cam up on it because we wanted to see how much it was being used. And this past weekend, there was probably 6 people, something like that. The weekend before, there were 25 or 30. But the very first few times that the camera started sending pictures back to us, we actually went down and talked to people because I wanted to know if they thought it was just their right to be able to go wherever they wanted to. And you know that 99% of the people that we talked to didn't know that anybody owned those docks. Not only just from Marion County, but from out of county. So, I mean, if you're gonna put some signage in, regardless if they read it or not, there should be something somewhere that says, these are private-owned docks, you are welcome to use if nobody is there. We actually put a sign on our dock that says, this is a private-owned dock. The county mandates that we leave open if we are not here. But we are not going to be responsible for the idiots that swim off our dock to swim across the cove.
That is 21.
And that probably upsets me more than anything, is because all it would take is one person diving in, breaking their neck, and we'd be sued.
That's something that has changed since I was a teenager out there.
Well,
You could not swim off the docks.
you shouldn't be able
And
to.
it's being
I mean, the
being
public-
allowed now.
If you wanna swim off the public ones, fine,
They
but
do.
I know they do, but when I was a kid growing up, they'll cut you in the
yeah,
water,
it
you
should
were
be,
out of there.
it should be posted. Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, the rules,
I mean, that just
That'd go to
scared
swimming
us.
area, designated swimming area.
right now,
And we've had 9 girls swimming off our dock, and I've said, there's a public swimming area right over there. And what did they do? They went right across to the dock across from ours. And did the same thing.
What time
Like 9 boys over there, so.
And there was 18.
15 kids on the dock.
What
Yeah,
time,
and that's,
what time of day were these visits? Or they,
oh, it's on a Saturday or a Sunday because it's college
I
kids.
guess what I'm tying to is, does the 11 o'clock make any difference?
Pardon me?
11 o'clock.
Oh, we've caught, just since we've had the camera up, we've had people on the dock at,
A lot of them at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Show up at 10 o'clock at night.
and it's, no, I don't know how they fish. It's pretty dark. But I guess where there's a will, there's a way.
I was gonna say, I mean,
And
normally over a summer, not to interrupt you, but
No, no,
normally
no.
over a summer, I mean, at 11 o'clock when I go around, I mean, it's not uncommon to have 30, 40, 50 people.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Boating or dock?
Fishing. No,
Fishing,
but
okay.
boating is, I mean, there are a couple of pontoon boats that are lit up out there. I mean, normally past 11, but I mean, as far as fishing from the docks and everything, there's a lot. I mean, over the summer that are still out there at 11 o'clock when we're closed, you know, I mean, there are. And I personally don't have any problems if they want to, then, you know, go down to the heated dock. Or, you know, but as
There's other
far,
options.
yeah, as far as the personal docks, I mean, once again, do I think doing that is gonna stop everything? No, but do I think it will help?
The fishermen, they walk down to the dock, they don't have a boat, do they? Pull it up to it.
Most of them walking down, yeah. Well, you know, and like we talked about it too with the survey, like their dock, you know, I think there's probably, I'm gonna say, 4 or 5 of them that are in a very similar situation to them, that pretty much any time on a Saturday or Sunday, you can bet there's gonna be somebody down there. Whether it's for fishing purposes or location purposes or whatever the reason, they're hard for us to see from the roadway. There are a handful of docks that are hit, you know, 50 times harder than others.
Are those all like connected to houses or directly?
Most of them are on the opposite side of the houses.
Because I don't know if there's a way to do a trade or something. If there's a location that is gonna be less.
Attractive.
Active.
I don't know if I was a dock owner, I would be petrified of litigation. Because, I mean, turn your TV on, what are these guys advertising for? It's not to handle your estate, it's to handle it when you break your neck when you jumped off the dock.
Yep.
And that puts you into, you privatize it, now all of a sudden, it's solely on you.
Yeah, but,
I get people trespassing and we worry about if they hurt themselves trespassing, we get sued.
but if you
Because it's
privatize them and they put a gate up, and they open the gate,
It still doesn't stop
that
it.
goes a long way in litigation.
Stop it. They get hit with trespassing, but then you still get the full amount of the doctor bill.
Would we, if we don't make a decision, would we like some decision to come back from him to what he could, our director?
He's already brought us, options.
He brought us options. I think Tina did a good job of kind of breaking the arguments down, or I shouldn't say arguments, breaking the discussion down into different areas. What I gathered from her explanations and Isaac's is maybe the easy one to do is the public docks, that the county builds some more public docks, that would maybe be our first discussion.
And then there'll be new.
Second discussion is limiting activities,
Signage.
tying with rules, but we have to decide what rules we want to enforce before we can do the sign. If you're gonna put a closing time on it and restrict it just to fishing and camping, then that needs to be on the sign.
Probably even before that, though, in terms of your crossroads, whether, this also began with the thought of, okay, do you want to privatize or not? And if so, all of them or some of them, or what are your options there? If you rule that out, then the rest of this becomes more relevant in terms of, and not that it wouldn't be anyway, if we don't privatize them all, you still have the ability to do all of those things, I agree.
So move the privatizing
I
to the
would
first.
personally, because if that's something we're not going to do
Okay,
or offer, then, okay, now you know that everybody's on a level playing field in terms of these are still public-private partnerships, and what are we gonna do? But if you wanna start with, okay, we wanna offer up the ability, and Isaac did a good job, I thought, in terms of the survey, we've got the majority of the ones that did respond, and that's a heck of a good response rate compared to what I've ever done for a marketing class, you know, with a class or students. We're lucky if we get 15% of those back, so getting half is great. So you have a pretty good indicator of what people are willing to do.
then let's focus the conversation at this point on whether or not to proceed with privatizing, whether it's all or none or choice. Yes.
I was sat here on the board and a person come in and wanted to build a new dock. Dale come in with him and they built the dock. And we specifically asked for, at that time, it was wanting to put a lift for the boat and stuff, but we wanted to at least keep the same idea that you could go around either side of that lift and fish off of the open dock on either side, but they let the boats, and that didn't exactly turn out just exactly like it was supposed to. It's not, and if you start putting that many of those little houses in and stuff like that, you're gonna be like the Lake of the Ozarks. And there was a school teacher here that stopped me, and he'd been out at the lake, that's his thing, ride around the bicycle and stuff, and his comments was, back then, is please reserve the lake to what it is today. And that's been a few years ago, but, so I'm just saying, that's sort of where I'm gonna base my opinion from, is please reserve the lake. It's a beautiful place. Let's do something like that. So whatever we decide, let's do something like that. That's just my opinion.
Commissioner Crowfoot, your thoughts on privatizing?
I think we shouldn't do it, but we should make available to all the boat owners a sign that says, you know, this private property, please respect it, and the lake closes at 11 o'clock, and you put some rules on there. But the county could,
I like the option.
The option to privatize, set a price, and, okay. Commissioner Gary?
I moved to Marion County, I liked everything about it, and I really don't want it to change, so.
Chair then determines from what was said what we should do.
Is that how it works? It seems like about 50-50 split.
I'd make a motion.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we do not privatize docks, but we try to enforce the camping permit and allow fishing at night after 11 o'clock.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Crowfoot. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Dalkey. Discussion.
So the clarification, I mean, are you saying that it will be allowed, but fishing would be allowed after 11, but only with a permit, a camping permit? Or are you saying it wouldn't be allowed after 11? I wasn't sure why you're
You can be there after 11 with a camping permit. But I guess fishing, you don't need a permit to fish after 11.
Not as it is now.
No, but see, that would require that if they're gonna be there late, that they would have to have a camping permit to be on the park after 11.
If that's a local guy fishing, he's not gonna,
So that's not what you're saying?
In the park or on the docks, are we talking?
That's why I didn't
in the
second
park.
it. I couldn't get on board with that one.
Can you restate your motion? I'm not sure that we understood what did you write?
Don't privatize, but enforce camping permit for fishing after 11.
Who's fishing after 11? Local people or?
Both.
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
Both.
Well, then if you did have a camping permit, at least you know who's there.
Yeah, right.
Dave, is this in relationship to the docks? That's what we're talking about? Or are you
Yes.
talking about the park? I mean,
You have to have a camping
Having a camping permit,
in order to use the dock after 11.
So you couldn't just be fishing irrespective of whether you had a camping permit. It has to have a camping permit, period.
You gotta have some event to be there later.
Well, how do you educate the public on that one?
we just make it so that, don't to privatize about the docks and enforce the camping permit. Nobody can be there after 11 o'clock in the park.
I was thinking about docks only. I'm gonna withdraw my second. 'Cause I was thinking docks only is what I thought this is what we're after, is the docks.
So the motion is park-wide.
Yeah, and he's got park in it, and
Any other discussion?
Can the
Oh,
public
there's not a
say anything?
second.
I
didn't think
Are you
so.
withdrawing your motion?
I just withdrew my second.
There's no second.
No second.
So motion dies.
I'd make a motion to not privatize the docks.
Second that.
And just period.
Keep it clean. and we'll
Okay,
move
then
to
we can
accept.
move into the regulation. Okay, we have a motion not to privatize docks. And Commissioner Dalkey did second.
Second, yes.
Now have discussion again. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion carried 3-2. I would be in favor of privatizing or giving the option. Move forward. Okay, so with the motion that no privatizing of docks, we move into rules and regulations, right?
Yep.
We've had discussion on
Ready for another motion?
well, I'm not necessarily ready for a motion, but I want more discussion now on the rules.
What?
We had a motion not to privatize.
I-
Now we need to
I think
talk
we
about
need,
rules.
definitely need the signage
Yes.
that the lake is closed at 11 unless you have a camping permit.
Okay.
That's not the rule.
Uh,
That's not the rule.
Well-
You'd have to make that rule before you had a sign that said that rule.
Well, then, along with the signage, we need a proposed new rule that you would need a camping permit.
Yes. Would you say fishing also included in that? Or just a camping permit?
I'm interested in it, Kent, but I'm trying to think of what happens out there as you see the person comes down to the trailer house or so whatever, and they've got their party going.
Well, the fishing part that's almost a different issue because you got people that live out there that may want to fish all night.
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking where we shut the park down. Is what I'm-
So you can't ask for a camping permit from residents.
Right.
Either that, or you could say fishing after 11 o'clock, residents
That's
only.
Is it really tied to the docks at all?
No, so,
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
no, I mean, the conversation, and see, like what you're saying there, I think that's why the rule was made exactly the way it is. I don't think that you could come in and say, well, if you live out there, you can fish past 11, but if you don't, you can't. I think like our conversation would be the docks would close at 11, just the docks would close at 11. If you wanted to fish past 11, you could still do so, just not on those docks. Because if you said the park closes at 11, like your comment, the trailer owners, you gotta stay in bed. I mean, realistically, I don't know how that could. It's the same thing with the residents to say, well,
Stepping
you
off
know,
into
you
tyranny here.
can't come across this roadway after 11.
Fishing from bank only after 11.
Yeah, or the heated
Or
dock.
the heated dock.
Yeah, and that I think was where we were kind of leaning towards, because for us, if you came in, you made that a rule, we could put those signs up on all those privately owned docks that are open to the public that state that. The heated dock, because the heated dock's gonna be the same thing, those guys get down there and fish that heated dock at 4 a.m. I don't necessarily think they should be punished or have to have a camping permit to do so. Yeah, but I do think as far as keeping them off of these privately owned docks, or, you know, that would be something that could be done. But as far as saying, you know, the park closes at 11 to everybody would be very hard to,
And the fishing on the docks, I mean, it would still be available to the dock owners.
to the dock owners, yes, just not the public, yeah.
Be a little bit dictatorial.
It's also terribly hard to enforce, and we've got, I've done this long enough. If, on the private docks, if you say, well, we'll allow fishing off those private docks, you're gonna get one guy that runs by Walmart before they close.
Oh, yeah, has a pole, yeah.
You'll get a cheap pole. He's gonna put that thing out there and say, well, my friends are just keeping me company. There's 37 of us and there's a keg of beer here. But that's why we're on this dock, is to fish that pole. And then we're gonna have to argue over that, or someone would have to, and I just don't see that working at all. It's really gonna be, make it clean. No fishing off those docks after a certain point in time, at the private docks. You can still fish, just do it off the bank or off the public docks.
I mean, I like the education aspect of the signage,
Yeah.
not necessarily the.
We have to do that, I think, under any circumstances.
Mind if somebody wants to say, that, you know, this dock belongs to so-and-so, please be respectful when in use.
And there are people that have that exact sign out.
You know, so that they are aware, because, you know, luckily enough, the first time I ever went out there with an older guy, and he told me how the rules were. And if the owner comes down, we gotta get out.
Yeah.
And he said, we don't leave any trash behind because these people have to clean it up and they have to pay for it.
Trevor Dock had that sign.
There's part of that that just needs to happen. That people need to be
Education.
Educated.
Their dock has it already, but I think more or less our dock needs to have it. Privately owned, but it is available to 11 o'clock.
I guess what I'm hearing is it's coming back to just basically signage for the rules the way they are. Is that what I'm hearing?
Just an FYI that you know, this is not a public dock, for sure.
How about you try signage for a year and come back for a report after a year, see what happens?
I'm still in favor of the trash cans too.
Not opposed to that either.
I mean, and we don't fit the mold on the electricians on site. We bring a trash can with us and we throw everything away and they just freak out. They're just like, how? You're electricians? Yes.
You can drop it on the floor.
We'll pick it up, we'll sweep, we'll do everything.
I don't mind the trash cans, John, but I just wanna ask him what it's gonna what it's gonna take for them to do that. Twice a week, or then somebody mentioned throw all the other stuff in the trash can besides your fishing stuff, or, you know, throw trash in. How much load is that gonna, how big a trash can are we gonna put out there? You're gonna have to handle them.
And I guess I would come back to if it helps the dock owner keep their.
Oh, it does.
Then I think we need to take that step as a county to help them.
We can just give them some equipment to work with. I mean,
Have the garbage boat go around all the docks, pick it up.
Ready for a motion?
Sure.
I don't know if we can get it right or not, but I'd make a motion that we do signage that would say that the lake was is closed at 12 o'clock with only bank fishing allowed.
11 o'clock.
Huh?
11 o'clock.
Yeah,
You said 12.
I said 12? 11. I was been thinking about lunch. 11 o'clock.
Okay.
With fishing only from bank locations.
So we're talking about docks closing at 11.
Right. Yeah, if we're gonna keep them all public, cause that's the time of night somebody's gonna die out there.
And the signage would be along the lines of privately owned but public access, but ends at.
Right. It'd have to have the right verbiage that Brad would have.
Staff.
That Brad would have to put together.
That Isaac can make understandable.
Yeah, we'll have to tweak it to make it like common language. It's okay. It's just the way it is.
In braille and highlighted and
With the light.
everything else.
So it's 6:30 to 11 p.m. is what it says the park is open at right now. So I mean,
6:30 to 11.
Well, that's consistent.
Be my motion.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dalkey. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 4-1. Commissioner Garing opposed. Now you can do trash cans.
Can I ask a question though? Do we have a rule, I mean, we do have a stated rule in the rule book, Isaac, that says that you can't swim off the docks?
without, so you can.
Okay.
According to the rule, you have to have a life jacket on and you have to stay within 15 foot of that dock.
So if we're gonna allow that, then we need to have that posted also.
Well, that's what I was, which I guess I didn't know if we were gonna
It's gonna be a big sign.
Might be too
It's gonna
tough.
be a big sign.
change the policy as
Maybe we need to get one of those electronic
Let's
deals.
just get a bunch of LEDs, like 100 of those.
Electronic sign.
No, but I just think that if it's, I don't know, the swimming issue is kind of a big deal, I think.
Which was why we kind of talked about the possibility of changing as far as what you can and can't do on them. I mean, I don't know if that's something we want to do, but I do think it would help for that purpose right there. I mean,
Did you survey about swimming? Like about how many of the dock owners actually utilize their docks for swimming? I mean, it might be good to know that.
a lot. How many dock owners utilize it? Okay, maybe not. I think all of them with boats definitely do, but I think the public does more than dock
Right, and
owners.
so if we allow it only in certain areas with the county-owned docks, so that'd be kind of maybe some more information to gather as far as whether we wanna continue to allow swimming.
I think every dock on Sunday afternoon that has people on it, somebody's swimming off of it. I think we have 100% participation. Bet money on
Can I say something? Just.
Yeah.
Well, they're not gonna be allowed to swim off of our dock. If we have to sit over there, then we'll sit there. Or if we have to go over every single time we see someone on our camera, of which we will tell them they are not swimming off of that dock. I do not want to be responsible for that. I don't care who it is.
So I guess that brings up the legal question, can that be prohibited if it's in the lake, the county-owned lake, and it's a county rule?
Technically, no, but I understand their concern in talking to a couple of insurance agents about those kinds of situations. It's a nightmare. And they, it starts to get hard to get insurance, and I get
And
that.
that is exactly what our insurance agent said.
I've heard it 2 or 3 times already, just inquiring preliminarily and informally about doing that, and they're like, okay, we already are dealing with physical damage, got nails protruding, or you've got some other issue, and then you add to that swimming. Fishing is one thing, but the swimming part of it, you hear about that each and every time with the agents. So I'm not unsympathetic, I get that.
Their location.
Yeah, that's just.
If you had a tremendous lake out there where the water temperature didn't fluctuate so much, and it doesn't fluctuate as much as the reservoir. But last year,
Yeah.
people would have been diving in there to been a death.
We had docks that weren't even floating, really.
Yeah, majority of them weren't.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how we're gonna write this without it being 3 pages, so you got a sign that we have to turn like a page in a book. Go on forever.
Well, I want a sign in my cemetery that I take care of. One big sign, and and I'm gonna put it down there, and I don't know, is that enough posting for the whole cemetery? I mean, what is one.
If you only have one entrance that's legal for the people to come in, yes. If they've got multiples, no. Because they have to have the opportunity, reasonably speaking, the reasonable person standard applies. They have to have notice. Now, if you put it on every dock and we somehow provide the signage and every dock owner goes ahead and puts it up, or they give us permission to put it up if we went that far, then yeah. But it has to be something that people are, first thing that's gonna happen in litigation is they're gonna say, oh, I didn't know. Well, they've covered that with like speed signs, in the state of Kansas. Doesn't matter whether ignorance is not a defense, because these are the rules. But that's not the same with a lake, even public in nature like this, because there are different rules at different lakes. You don't know. It has to be something they can see.
So just a thought here. So if let's say you change this to fishing and boating purposes only, it's open from 6:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. You just had a sign, if it just said this is a privately owned dock open to the public, it's open from 6:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. for fishing and boating purposes only. Please clean up after
simple.
yourself, and
If you're willing to show those restrictions, yeah.
and just, or would you have to have more than that on it?
I think that's the way it ought to be. We got designated swimming areas out there.
Well, and I know we have, that is something that we deal with on a weekend basis. probably 10 times a weekend having to tell people, if you're gonna be on this dock, you have to have a life jacket. So part of me's thinking this is gonna make our job a little easier too, because of that. I mean,
And also if
it's a
we,
similar deal where 90% of the people know the rules and have followed the rules, because if you're outside of the swimming area, no matter what you're doing, boating, swimming off the docks, kayaking, anything, you can do so, but you must have a life jacket on. Whether you're on a boat and you're anchored up in the middle of the lake and you're jumping off that boat, you can do it, but you have to have a life jacket on. People doing that without a life jacket on is a pretty much everyday occurrence that we're having to say something to people over the weekend. Unless you're in the swimming area. So I think to try to get as many swimmers that we have out there into the swimming area, the better.
Mhm.
But
we created those with the buoy definition, you know, the rope buoy.
yeah.
definition, in public dock areas, so much the better, because you still provide the opportunity and people aren't all over each other. I mean, you get pretty good sized areas. And then the complaints we get all the time about the wake problem also are lessened by quite a bit.
Wait on the dock.
Yeah, with like having
Private docks, because they blow by there, 2-footer that's rolling on somebody.
You didn't say that people on the dock have to have a life jacket too, did you?
no, not to be on the dock, but if you get in the water off of that
In
dock
the water, off the dock, yes.
in any way, shape, or form, you're supposed to have a life jacket on.
Yes. Go ahead.
On that, talking about the life jacket, can you get one on Airport Road, one coming off of 77? The back two entrances to say life, swimming outside of
The swimming area,
swimming areas require a life jacket at all times.
just a sign.
Yeah, for the 4 main entrances. Would that cover it very well?
Those are the main entrances into, that gives us a
I
reasonable.
mean, it's there, and it can't hardly come into any of them 4, so 4 signs to enforce for swimming with a life jacket, I think would be an excellent idea. It's up to you to make that decision.
That's what it's saying, roadway signage.
Yeah.
It would cover that aspect.
What do they do with the reservoir?
It'd be a good project for the winter, Isaac, you figured.
I don't think they do. At least not that I recall. Do you?
Interesting.
No, you can legally jump off boats and stuff out there without a life jacket on. The only time you have to have a life jacket on is if you are in a boat and you're under the age of 13, or if you're tubing, or if you're jet skiing. But as far as like if you're anchored up on a boat out there, you are more than welcome to jump off that boat without a life jacket on legally.
You just have to have life jackets on.
In the boat, yes. Unless you are under 13, if you're under 13, you have to have one on all the times. But if you were to go out there on a boat and you wanted to jump off and swim, you would not have to have that on.
At the reservoir. Oh, it's your.
No, yeah, you would not have to, and I think that was a big part of the reason as to why it was a rule in the lake accidents, whatever the case is. But and I think it is a very good rule. But no, any state lake, you do not have to have it on. I think that's also a big, you want to say a confusion thing when people come to our lake compared to most other state lakes. You don't have to do that there. It is kind of a unique thing for out at the county lake, yeah.
Well, we are part of the CFAP program, and that's the state. Does any of the rules change? When there was rules changed when we took it over for us. We no longer had to do some things, but I don't know about all this stuff that we're talking
We
about.
just need to not overly limit opportunities for fishing.
Access,
You know,
yeah.
we need to-
Yes.
Okay, access.
For CFAP, yeah, really fishing is the only thing that
That's the emphasis of that.
That's what the lake was for. It was a fisherman's lake. That's the reason why you have the no out of county boats can't go over 3 mile an hour or whatever it is. There's a lot of restrictions that were put in place just for fishing.
They've been there for a long time.
Been there forever.
I think probably, like I said, when the reservoir came in and Dale left, was probably when we lost control and you could swim anywhere you want to, anytime. Before Dale left, you couldn't swim ever to the swimming area only. You didn't, life jackets either way. You could not get in the water off the boat, except the water ski. Only time you could be in the water.
Cause
Trust me, I've had that, sure. a couple times.
It made an impact.
Well, yeah.
Still remember it.
I grew up with it.
High school, too.
that's exactly right though, Mr. Dale, he enforced the no jumping off the docks with swimming around the docks.
He wouldn't let folks jump off the party barge. He kicked them off. It wasn't a kids thing.
Okay, I think we've got some progress on
I
rules.
think that's when we lost control.
Get some men to come back.
Yeah. We can do it out there, why can't we do it here?
The last one I had on the list then was more public docks.
I'd make a motion that we move ahead with, in the next year, place at least one public dock, make a plan for maybe a multi-year addition.
Very good. I'll second your motion.
I'd like to have a budget, what one cost.
We'll have, part of that motion, have staff bring back a proposed budget and locations.
I have no idea what it cost.
You'd be surprised.
You're gonna be surprised.
I asked about 8, I mean, depending on what you wanted to do.
I mean, it would have to be not just a little dinky thing.
It's gonna, I mean, for like a similar one to what the majority of the ones out
Probably
there is gonna
Same
be
size as theirs, I mean.
about 8 to 12, depending on how you wanted it built.
8 to 12,000.
Bait shop will pay
We
for it.
better
Yeah.
Raise the prices.
put a budget not to exceed 12,000.
Are they poly docks?
That
At the upper
I
end.
got an estimate for one of those too. It fits right in there. I mean, and you know, like they,
I'm looking for less maintenance.
yeah, right.
Is what I'd be after.
But the poly dog you can't stand on.
Yeah.
Well, I still come back to having staff bring us a recommendation.
There's a place in Kansas City that.
Get the poly dock with the wet road.
That's, I mean, that's what
Then
pretty
that
much
way
all of ours
get
are
water
now.
up on top, then you could stand on it.
Yeah, but you gotta get water.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All opposed say nay. I thought I heard all five. Motion carried 5-0. Anything else from the commission? Yes.
Thank you for your input, appreciate it.
Yeah, that should be.
Bring it up, I'll second it.
I just don't know what's asking for too much. I mean, just to start, some of the more popular areas.
I wouldn't think they need to be at all of them. Or they could be kind of
I
grouped.
can discriminate though.
Well, it's just higher usage. You're not actually discriminating, you're just providing something to try to,
Yeah,
Curb.
would be assigning them to a particular dock or any particular location, just different points or throughout the lake area. You could set a limit, like, okay, find this, just come back with a recommendation for places for 20 trash cans.
Did you have dumpsters out all over the lake? I mean,
We have dumpsters and trash cans.
up on the road.
yeah, the problem is people throw it down nearby and then they don't go back and pick it up.
Yeah.
But these could be put in closer proximity to dogs.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have any down, like, you know, we don't have any that are sitting at a dock, but we have them like pretty much throughout all the campgrounds and everything. So we have the dumpsters that Florence takes care of. Then we actually have our own trash cans as well that we take care of.
Put them
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
So I know on the south side, you got dumpsters up.
Yeah.
Because the ones you can't hardly walk down to, you have dumpsters up above.
Yeah, we do.
I'm gonna follow up the advice of council, and I would make a motion to request staff draft a plan for 20 trash cans to help with the dock trash issue. Locate them at the best sites possible using their
Cans or dumpsters?
cans. These are for
You got 20 dumpsters out there.
from the docks.
By can.
Second by Commissioner Becker. Discussion?
If you go to dumpsters, Florence bids the price up, what I'm saying.
These would be cans that then staff would have to empty.
So what, I mean, and I don't know, what we use are just 55-gallon metal drums. And that's what we use for our trash cans. One, they're heavy, and the black 60-gallon bags fit perfectly in them. And so that's what we have out there.
How'd you get them up the hill?
Huh?
How'd you get them up the hill?
No, we don't move the trash cans. No, we just pull the bags through the back. We normally have a trailer tied to behind the truck, and we'll load the trailer up and take those then to the dumpsters around the lake, and that's how we do it. And I don't know unless we'd wanna go to with a different size of trash can, but I do have extra 55-gallon drums out there, but that's what we use.
You gotta have something that you can.
Whatever the bags fit.
Yeah, that's why staff
It's
recommendations
the secret part of it.
and budget included with that.
You can use the U-shaped angle iron and bolt those out and tip them.
Yeah.
We don't have half the problems that some of these other places. You know,
No,
we
that's
don't
true.
have to have air trash cans, right? We don't have to have all these
Yeah.
other things.
No recycling.
Well, actually, the probably help keep some of the junk out of the lake too, if you could provide, I mean, it's just.
Again,
In the dumpsters,
proximity.
we still get the occasional mattress. Stuff in some of them.
All right,
I gotta bring up that.
Fishermen call that fish habitat.
okay, any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. They were getting easier at the end.
It's that hill you had to get over.
Yeah, the first one was the worst. Then after that,
That set you up. Take the hard one first.
yeah, I wanted to do the easy one.
Well, all I can say, Isaac, is give us some input, give the commission some input, you know, what's working, what's not working.
And if.
Thanks for the good report here.
Yeah, this is.
He did a really good job of getting information when we first started talking about this, so it helps a lot.
The survey thing, to a couple of municipalities, they went and did surveys. They're getting 51% plus on returns.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I think
People are
that's
like
just,
getting into doing surveys,
Yeah.
man. It's,
if it's something that's important enough to them.
they do. I think Hillsborough did it on whether or not you had copper, PVC, or lead pipes.
Oh, the water and the pipe thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty hard to get a response.
Yeah, that's
but
one where you gotta call them all the
50%,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
So getting off the subject, Isaac, thank you again for the research, and Tina and Brad for working together. This one's been bowling for quite a while. Now if we can get things put together, next year we'll have the signs up and be ready for the season.
My only one clarification, just more towards Randy. He's been here the longest. How much have you had to deal with this in the past? It's a relatively new issue. It's always been an issue.
Just occasionally, people, the parties bring this guy out. And he needs something to do. I mean, when the parties get there and the wild parties, but the common person, which is 95, 98%, don't bother nothing usually. But then the dock owners, I can see where that could, where they get on them and just wanna, do whatever, it needs to stop.
That's where I thought the education would be handy. I mean, just, I don't know, I don't really wanna change a whole lot. I don't really wanna enforce a whole lot if people just, with some simple verbiage to.
I think that's what was accomplished today. There weren't many changes. It's gonna be signage and.
To start.
All right, again, thank you, Isaac. Appreciate it. Okay, with that, we move to County Councilor Brad.
Potential litigation, Everett, the board, myself, Tina, and Sharon is prepared to be on, but it'll be remotely via Zoom, and I think she's still on. I hope she is.
Very good. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss potential litigation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 2, consultation with our attorney-client privilege with the commission, Brad, Tina, and Sharon, for 20 minutes. That'd be from 2:10 to 2:30.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. Back to 2:30.
Alone in the room.
Okay. You're
We're on?
Yep.
Okay, out of executive session, no decision made. We need another 30 minutes, so I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss potential litigation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 2, consultation with our attorney-client privilege with commission, Brad, Tina, and Sharon for 30 minutes, 2:30 to 3 o'clock.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gehring. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0, back at 3 o'clock.
Out there in the hallway, I guess I don't have to go look at it.
Okay, we're back on.
We still have 2.5 minutes.
I actually have to wait until. Do you think you need me anymore? Can I go and? All right, I
Is
can
that a
wait.
real question?
I'll wait.
You may be excused.
Do something constructive.
Are you gonna do anything important?
Tina is excused from the meeting. Isn't that how it works?
Brad's gonna take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
If she leaves.
See,
Got a
Here
couple
we
of other
go.
things, if that's the case.
Maybe I'll just wait.
It's that lack of faith that's so heartwarming.
I have looked at I think you have
Send it
some.
out in 2
Yes,
minutes.
we do.
You know, a regular meeting.
That doesn't just get acquired overnight.
Meeting. Yeah, I suggested we do it then.
I've changed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got it.
Update anyway.
Randy hadn't read his yet. Keep waiting. Save you a trip.
Did you send that out today?
Today.
I don't remember what day.
What is it? We sent it out Friday.
I don't know.
Thursday, Friday.
All the days are running together. Probably, Ashley probably feels the same. Yep.
So after, when you start counting absentee ballots, I mean, voting,
Until election night.
you can do it till 7 o'clock.
They said Pennsylvania or Indiana? I changed that to where you can start counting at the very beginning of voting day. Like election day.
8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. So it allowed them to start getting ahead on all that advanced stuff. The day, they could start counting the ones for the day. Have election day instead of election week.
All right. We are out of executive session, no decisions made. Any other commission comments? If not, our next meeting is payday, October 31st. That's Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. I move to adjourn.
So
Second by Commissioner Gehring. All those in favor
Is
say
public
aye.
forum over?
Yes.
Public forum is over.
Yes.
That figures.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried 5-0. We are adjourned.